Hey, Corporate Escape Artists, welcome back. We are in the middle of reading Outwitting the Devil, and we are diving into chapter 8 entitled Definiteness of Purpose. Now, this title itself is similar or analogous to what's in Think and Grow Rich. So, a purpose, a desire, a burning desire is essentially what Napoleon Hill talked about in that first book of how to create your thoughts into things, the Think and Grow Rich model. So I'm just really interested to dive into this chapter and see what he has to say. Your Majesty will now proceed to unfold the secrets of the 7 principles through which human beings may force life to provide them with the spiritual, mental, and physical freedom. Commentary. In the rest of the book, Hill discusses these 7 principles to attain spiritual, mental, and physical freedom. Principle 1 is definiteness of purpose. 2 is mastery over self. 3 is learning from adversity. 4 is controlling environmental influence or associations. 5 is time, so giving permanency to positive rather than negative thought habits and developing wisdom. 6 is harmony, so acting with definiteness of purpose to become the dominating influence in your own mental, spiritual, and physical environment. And 7, caution, thinking through your plan before you act. Do not be sparing in your description, Your Majesty, of these principles. I want a complete illustration of how the principles may be used by anyone who chooses to use them. Tell us how you know about this principle of definiteness of purpose. Commentary. The interrogator gains some momentum here, and he goes for the jugular. Do we have the courage at moments of opportunity to act as aggressively with definiteness of purpose? If you go through this with the mad idea of publishing my confession, you'll open the gates of hell and turn loose all the precious souls I've collected back down through the ages. You'll deprive me of souls yet unborn, and you will release from me my bondage of millions now living. So stop, I beg of you. Open up, man. Let's hear what you have to say about the principles of definiteness of purpose. You are pouring water on the fires of hell, but the responsibility is yours, not mine. I may as well tell you that any human being who can be definite in his aims and plans can make life hand over whatever is wanted. That's a broad claim, Your Majesty. Do you wish to tone it down a bit? Tone it down? No, I wish to tone it up. When you hear what I now have to say, you will understand why the principle of definiteness is so important. My opposition uses a clever trick to cheat me out of my control over people. The opposition knows that definiteness of purpose closes the door of one's mind so tightly against me that I cannot break through unless I can induce one to the form of the habit of drifting. Okay, so why doesn't your opposition give your secret to all the people just by telling them to avoid you through definiteness of purpose? I mean, you've already admitted that 2 out of every 100 people belong to your opposition. Because I am more clever than my opposition. I draw people away from definiteness with my promises, you see. I control more people than my opposition because I'm a better salesman and a better showman. I attract people by feeding them liberally of their thought habits in which they like to indulge. So I'm just wondering if part of this indulgence, this human comfort syndrome, so to speak, this habit of drifting, is opposite of having a definiteness of purpose. I mean, is it suggesting that definiteness of purpose is difficult to attain or not comfortable or not indulging? I think possibly because, yes, like if we set our sights and mind on a goal and we don't achieve it right away, it's painful, right? This cognitive dissonance, meaning I close my eyes, I see something, imagine it, and then I open my eyes and there's a difference in my outer world, and it creates a distance between what I imagine and what I perceive as reality, and that sucks. That's not indulgent, so to speak. But what I am wondering is when we acquire this skill, this definiteness of purpose becomes part of who we are. It becomes almost natural and automatic. And then our outer world starts to shape and form to match what our inner world looks like. And it just gets me wondering that, like, isn't that the whole name of the game here, is to get to the point where we've replaced our, our natural state of being, of indulging ourselves in mindless activity and like kind of like negative thinking, with a definiteness of purpose, a positive outlook and mindset of the future that which we are actually experiencing right now in our reality. So I just don't know, like maybe that's going to be explained here later or never discussed at all. But to me, that seems to be the riddle at which underlies this whole theme, is getting to that place and point where our definiteness of purpose becomes something that we enjoy doing and it's automatic. And therefore it becomes the habit that we're drifting, so to speak. I don't know. Kind of went on a tangent there, but just speaking off the cuff of my thoughts. So is definiteness of purpose something with which one must be born, or may it be acquired? Everyone, as I've told you before, is born with the privilege of being definite, but 98 out of 100 people lose this privilege just by sleeping on it. The privilege of definiteness can be maintained only by adopting it as a policy by which one's guided in all the affairs of life. Oh, I see. So one takes advantage of this principle of definiteness just as one may build a strong physical body, basically through consistent, constant, systematic use? Is that it? You've stated the truth clearly and accurately. See what he did there? He tied this principle of success to the same principle of bodybuilding. You actually spend any time with people who are bodybuilders and you'll find they have the principles of success dialed in actually quite well with respect to their health and exercise. They might not have every other area in life sorted out, but they definitely figured out that they're able to imagine the way they want their body to be and therefore put themselves through the activities and daily habits of building their bodies. And it's the exact same thing. It's constant, systematic, repetitive process of the imagination. Okay, so now I think we're getting somewhere, Your Majesty. We've had at long last found the starting point from which all who become self-determining in life must take off. We've discovered from your astounding confession that your greatest asset is man's lack of caution, which enables you to lead him into the jungle of indefiniteness through simple bribes. We've also learned beyond the question of doubt that anyone who adopts definiteness of purpose as a policy and uses in all his daily experiences, he can't be induced to form the habit of drifting. Without the aid of this drifting habit, you're actually powerless to attract people through promises. Is this correct? I couldn't have stated the truth more clearly myself. Okay, then go ahead now. Describe how people neglect their privilege in being free and self-determining through indefiniteness and drifting. I have already made brief reference to this principle, but I will now go into more details as to how this principle actually works. I shall have to begin at the time of birth. When a child is born, it begins when it brings with it nothing but a physical body representing the evolutionary results of millions of years of ancestry. Its mind is a total blank. When the child reaches the age of consciousness and begins to recognize the objects of its surroundings, it begins also to imitate others. Imitation becomes a fixed habit. Naturally, the child imitates, first of all, its parents. Then it begins to imitate its other relatives and daily associates, including its religious instructors and school teachers. This imitation extends not merely to physical expression, but also to thought expression. Though if a child's parents fear me and express the fear within the range of a child's hearing, well, the child picks up fear through the habit of imitation and stores it away as part of its subconscious stock of beliefs. If the child's religious instructor expresses any form of fear of me, and they all do, trust me, in one form or another, and then that fear is added to the similar fear passed to the child by its parents, and the two forms of negative limitation are stored away in the subconscious mind to be drawn upon and used by me later in life. In a similar way, a child learns by imitation to limit its power of thought by filling its mind with envy, hatred, greed, lust, revenge, and all the other negative impulses of thought which destroy all possibility of definiteness. Meanwhile, I move in and induce the child to drift until I bind its mind through hypnotic rhythm. Am I to understand from your remarks Do you have to just gain control of people while they are very young, or you lose your opportunity at them altogether? Well, I prefer to claim them before they come into possession of their own minds, but once any person learns the power of his own thoughts, he actually becomes positive and difficult to subdue. As a matter of fact, I cannot control any human being who's discovering this use and applying the principle of definiteness. Okay, so is the habit of definiteness a permanent protection against your control? No, not by any means whatsoever. Definiteness closes the doors of one's mind to me only as long as that person follows the principles as a matter of policy. Once any person hesitates, procrastinates, or becomes indefinite about anything, he's just one step removed from my control. Commentary, says the devil. Once any person hesitates, procrastinates, or becomes indefinite about anything, he's just one step removed from my control. This metaphysical and spiritual aspects that the author's philosophy are on display are in these responses by the devil. What he calls definiteness is today often called intention or being goal-driven or purpose-driven. All right. So, what does definiteness have to do with one's material circumstances? I just want to know if one may acquire power through definiteness of purpose without inviting destruction through the law of compensation. Your question limits my illustrations because there are so few people in the world who understand, and there have been so few in the past who understood how to use definiteness of purpose without attracting to themselves the negative application of the law of compensation. Here you are forcing me to disclose one of my most prized tricks. I'm bound to tell you that I eventually reclaim for my cause all who escape me temporarily through definiteness of purpose. The reclamation is made by filling the mind with greed for power and the love of egotistical expression until the individual falls into the habit of violating the rights of others. Then I step in the law of compensation and I reclaim my victim. Okay, so I see from your admission that definiteness of purpose may be dangerous in proportion to its possibility and power. Is that true? Yes, and what's more important is that every principle of good carries with it the seed of an equivalent danger. Well, that's kind of hard to believe. And what danger, for example, can there be in the habit of love and truth? The danger lies in the word habit. All habits save only that the love of the definiteness of purpose may lead to the habit of drifting. The love for truth, unless it assumes the proportion of definite pursuit of truth, may become similar to all other good intentions. You know, of course, what I do with those good intentions. Is love for one's relatives also dangerous? The love for anything or anyone, save only the love of definiteness of purpose, may become definitely dangerous. Love is a state of mind which beclouds reason, saps willpower, and blinds one to facts and truth. Everyone who becomes self-determining and gains spiritual freedom to think his own thoughts must examine carefully every emotion that seems even remotely related to love. You may be surprised to know that love is one of my most effective baits. With it, I lead into the habit of drifting those whom I could attract with nothing else. That's why I have placed it at the head of my list of bribes. Show me what any person loves most, and I will have my cue as to how that person can be induced to drift until I bind him with hypnotic rhythm. Love and fear, combined, give me the most effective weapons with which I induce people to drift. One is as helpful to me as the other. Both have the effect of causing people to neglect to develop definiteness in the use of their own minds. Give me control over a person's fears and tell me what he loves most, and you may as well mark that person down as my slave. Both love and fear are emotional forces of such stupendous potency that either may completely set aside the power of will and the power of reason. Without will and reason, there's nothing left to support definiteness of purpose. But, Your Majesty, life wouldn't be worth living if people never felt the emotion of love. Ah, you are right as far as your reasoning goes, but you neglected to add that love should never be under one's definite control at all times. Of course, Love's desirable state of mind, but it's also a palliative which may be used to destroy any reason and willpower, which both of which will rate above love in importance to human beings who want freedom and self-determination. Okay? So I understand from what you say that people who gain power must harden their emotions, master fear, and subdue love. Is that correct? People who gain and maintain power must become definite in all their thoughts and all their deeds. If that is what you call hard, then you must become hard. Okay, let us look into the sources of advantage and definiteness in the everyday affairs of life. Which is more apt to succeed, a weak plan applied with definiteness or a sound, strong plan indefinitely applied? Weak plans have a way of becoming strong if definitely applied. So, next time that you feel like you don't have the answers to everything, but you have a specific goal, a very firm outcome that you are imagining, then go bold with that and embrace the outcome, because guess what? What he just said right here is that having that definiteness will embolden or strengthen your lack of plans, your lack of abilities, your lack of resources. Just let go of those results and everything will come into fruition, is what he's saying right here. Okay, so you mean that any plan definitely put into continuous action in pursuit of a definite purpose, it may be successful even if it's not the best plan? Yes, I mean just that. Definiteness of purpose plus definiteness of plan by which the purpose is to be achieved generally succeeds no matter how weak that plan may be. The major difference between a sound and an unsound plan is that the sound plan, if definitely applied, may be carried out more quickly than an unsound plan. Okay, so in other words, if one can't always be right and one can and should always be definite, is that what you're trying to get at? That is the idea. People who are definite in both their plans and their purposes never accept temporary defeat as being more than an urge to a greater effort. You can see for yourself that this sort of policy is bound to win if it's followed with definiteness. So, anytime we start heading down the path in the pursuit of greatness, it seems as though we are going to be knocked off course and things aren't going to go towards our plan. The unexpected ups and downs in life will occur naturally. And if we don't have our sights clearly set on the end goal, we might get knocked off course and stay off course and be defeated and get distracted and start looking for the next object, the next shiny new object that will distract us and give us the results that we're looking for, even though we were on the path of success. We just got derailed. So having that definitive outcome, that clear vision of the outcome, the end result, is the secret, to staying on track, is the secret to accomplishing the goal. It's not about how we get there. It's about having that steadfast belief that we are on our way there or already there. I mean, this is like me walking through what's going on in my life right now. I'm remembering this. I'm like, okay, this is the reason why I'm not becoming derailed and changing paths and looking for a new solution, is because I'm very clear in the outcome. I'm not perfect here, but this is exactly what he's saying. And you're bound to win if it's followed with definiteness. I mean, done, right? So, can a person who moves with definiteness to both, can a person who moves with definiteness of both plan and purpose be always sure of success? No. The best of plans sometimes misfire, but the person who moves with definiteness recognizes the difference between temporary defeat and failure. When plans fail, he substitutes others, but he doesn't change his purpose. He perseveres. Eventually, he finds a plan that succeeds. So that's exactly what I'm just saying. Getting knocked off track, getting knocked off the course, so to speak, is only part of a temporary setback. It's a temporary defeat, but not failure, not accepting it as permanence. It's temporary. It's part of the journey. If we allow it to derail ourselves, then yes, we'll end up being screwed. So, recognizing those defeats for what they are is just temporary setbacks rather than complete and utter utter failures. That is the separation and the significance between those who are succeeding and those who are getting distracted and chasing their life dreams over and over again indefinitely. Because guess what? Anytime you step out of your comfort zone and try to do something new, it's going to be, as designed, uncomfortable. And just be expecting this as part of the ride, part of the journey. But it's emboldening you, it's strengthening you, it's helping you know what not to do the next time. Okay. All right. So, will a plan based upon immoral or unjust ends succeed as quickly as one motivated by a keen sense of justice and morality? Through the operation of the law of compensation, everyone reaps that which he sows. Plans based on unjust or immoral motives may bring temporary success, but enduring success may take into consideration the fourth dimension, which is time. Time is the enemy of immorality and injustice. It's the friend of justice and morality. So, failure to recognize this fact has been responsible for the crime wave among the youths of the world. The youthful, inexperienced mind is apt to make a mistake temporary success for permanency. The youth often makes the mistake of coveting the temporary gains of immoral, unjust plans, but neglects to look ahead and observe the penalties which follow as definitely as night follows day. Okay, that was the end of chapter 8, a very brief chapter again, but this is the stage at which it's being set to give us the playbook on how to accomplish our goals and dreams, as described by this interview with the devil. Until next time.